We have been exploring over recent months a practice known as RAIN practice. And RAIN follows, it's an acronym which follows us through or takes us through a course of meditation practice that actually in some sense encapsulates the whole of the path of mindfulness training. And the 4 steps are recognizing, that's the R, allowing, which is the A, investigating, sense of taking a closer look, and perhaps a deeper look at what's going on, which is the I. And we've looked at these in previous sessions, and what I've said about those are all available on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't been at those sessions and want to catch up with them, you can just go onto YouTube and you'll find what I said about them. And on the website, the Mindfulness Sussex website with the audios, you can find the practices. So don't worry if you haven't been at those previous sessions. And in any case, in the practice today, we'll review all of those steps of RAIN. But I'm going to focus on the final part of the RAIN practice in today's session. So the N of RAIN, at least in how the practice was originally formulated, stands for non-identification. It's kind of quite a long word, and takes a little bit of perhaps unpacking. In more recent formulations, the N is sometimes described as natural awareness. And I still have a preference for non-identification. But if you want to see this step as natural awareness, that's fine. They're expressing something very similar. But for me, non-identification actually expresses it somehow more clearly, a little bit more, what's the word? Not exactly confrontationally, but directly perhaps than natural awareness does. But feel free to, kind of play with what works best for you. And the step in the practice is both really simple and in another way, very tricky. And it's simple because actually in this practice of non-identification, there's nothing to do at all. We just rest in being. It's actually a fruition of the work that we have already played with in recognizing and allowing and investigating experience. We can simply come to rest in what is. However, this resting in what is turns out, like, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but we've got many different sort of degrees of experience here in meditation. But I'm imagining that if those of us who are experienced can maybe think back to our first meditation session, and if the teacher had said to you, okay, so here we are at our mindfulness class, rest in what is, kind of like, what would you have done, thought? And we're going, how? Or even what do you mean? You certainly might be saying, what am I paying for? Rest in what is. Okay, it's really simple. But when we, it's kind of, we're not familiar with this resting in what is, because we're so often tied up in our distractions and our habits and our doings and our strivings to achieve, whatever seems to need to be achieved in life to keep things going or to keep us, fed, safe, etc., etc. So this resting in what is actually very unusual as an experience, and when we don't practice experiences, they're rather difficult to access. So it's not that we can't rest in what is, but it seems inaccessible. We might not understand what it means, and even if we understand what it means, we might not know how to access it. So the foundation work that we do is really, really important. That foundation work is noticing what's happening, getting familiar with the patterns of mind, and the, if you like, the sort of manual labor of coming back again and again from places of mind wandering, from places of attachment, back to the present moment. This is why we often start with something like the breath as an anchor, or our feet as an anchor, or sounds as an anchor, because the mind wanders away, we come back. You might have seen me do this movement before, a bit like gym work. Mind wanders away, we come back. Away, we come back. So this is definitely a sort of an effortful practice, you know, where we're training a muscle. But the muscle's already here. Yeah, it's not like we have to invent the muscle or create the muscle. It's already here, but we cultivate with the movement. And so the muscle of the mind also is trained, cultivated through these foundation practices, you know, like body scanning, for example, would be another good example, you know, where we are becoming familiar with the playing out of sensations in the body, and we're practicing moving our attention around. Don't worry if you're new and, you know, to this practices and these aren't familiar to you. There's lots of opportunity to learn them. And so to rest in natural awareness, or to rest in a place of non-identification, sort of seems to take some preparation. However, once we are in the practice and we drop our identification with whatever's going on, even if maybe we've had no experience before, if we can just drop into what's actually here without needing to change anything, then we have found that place of natural awareness, that place of non-identification. So actually, even if, maybe especially if we are dropping into what is, and that what is, you know, manic mind. It's a place of anxiety. It's a place of pain or other kinds of distress. Even if that's the case, we can find this natural awareness, this non-identification, just by recognizing and allowing that to be the case. Yeah, so if we can allow a resting with whatever the discomfort is, then we've come to this fruition. Yeah, so it doesn't need to feel like some kind of, oh, I've done it now, the end of the path, because actually, you know, as T.S. Eliot speaks about in Little Gidding, you know, the end is actually the beginning. You know, it's kind of like, and it's just seeing it in a new way, just being with it in a different way. So in one sense, this resting in, kind of coming to rest with what is moving into a place where we don't have to try to change anything. It's like, yeah, resting in pain, resting in discomfort, or resting in joy, resting in, you know, focusing perhaps on the difficult states, because those tend to be the ones that we try and get away from, push away. Although sometimes when we're in we have blissful experiences in meditation, they can soon turn into unblissful states by us wanting to keep them. Oh, I don't want this to go away. This is lovely. Yeah, so that also is a kind of a form of not resting with what is. So what does this, I just want to say a little bit about what this non-identification actually means. And it seems to be that a lot of our difficulties in life come from identifying the process of being, the ever-changing, interconnected process of being as a fixed experience. You know, me as me, you as you, the outer world is the outer world. That's of this and that's of that. We kind of separate into fixed identities, you know, and it's not a problem that that happens. You know, it would be a difficult world if you know, let's say I decided to say, well, my name, you know, Ed is a name and it's a fixed identity, so I'll drop it. But then nobody's got anything to call me. You know, so they're useful. These identities that we have are useful constructs to hold lightly, but actually recognizing that the Ed that I am today is very different from the Ed that I was 10 years ago and 20 years ago and 30 years ago in all sorts of ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, behaviorally, though there are some tendencies that kind of, you know, offer a thread, which makes it more difficult because it can seem like I'm still the same person. But actually, because we are moving processes, by letting go, playing with letting go of the identity, the kind of the heaviness of me and wanting to hold on to what I like and push away what I don't like, becomes lighter. And so when we notice and recognize that we are these processes rather than fixed identities, we can then start to go with the flow of how things are. And so actually, if pain arises, we can go, oh, pain moving through. Not, I'm in pain, but here's pain moving through my experience. Or maybe not even my experience, moving through experience. So we can cultivate through the foundation meditation practices a lighter touch in our relationship to being. And as we come into alignment with reality as it presents itself, just in the present moment, the flow of experience unfolding, and in non-identification practice, which we're going to practice together shortly, just letting whatever's arising arise, not having to do anything about anything in this moment, just as a practice to cultivate that possibility, to express that possibility. Then maybe in life we have more chance of connecting to these qualities when difficulties arise, or when resistances arise, or when things don't go the way we want them to go. So that's why perhaps we can, by practicing this lighter touch, this meeting of reality as it is, as processes playing out rather than things happening to me, we can we are developing, or maybe I prefer the word, we are finding skills within us to live a life that is less separate, less walled off, less fearful, and can work with the inevitable challenges that is just part of human being. So I hope that makes some sense. And remembering again, in the end, as well as being kind of quite a lifetime's path to get to this resting in what is. At the same time, also we can experience tastes of it just in the moment, in those moments where we're just here and not needing anything to be different. That's resting in non-identification, resting in natural awareness.